As it's now time to bring you Sport on Pulse. My name is Hans Mensah. Some 60 minutes of the action down at the Accra Sports Stadium. Kumasi Asante Kotoko's game against Liberty Professional. The big story is the man on your screen. Fabio Gama provided 2 assists for the Porcupine Warriors as they lead Liberty by 2-0. The second I have seen, sumptuous long ball from the center of the pitch to Kwame Poku, who made no mistake and buried it. He's trending out there on social media. We'll definitely be getting the highlights of that one later at 10:30 p.m. on Fun Zone. Let's move on to some Ghanaian players abroad who are making a return from injury. We begin with Kudus Partey, and he had a very good beginning for the Gunners, not least that game against Manchester United, where he totally bossed the midfield, but he's been injured for some time now, only returning to the first team fold and has begun training. However, he's yet to make a return onto the field. And we saw in his absence the effect it had on Arsenal. My colleague Benaya Elom joins me to assess what sort of impact he's going to be making on Mikel Arteta's side as he returns. Surely, Partey was a miss during the days when he was injured.
As you said, his remarkable performance against Manchester United still stands out. One of his best performances since he signed for Arsenal. And Arsenal are really going to be happy getting him back in their team because they've really missed him a lot. I'm not a big fan of Granit Xhaka, Elneny, and Ceballos in midfield. They need a player like Kudus and Partey who's going to give them that kind of presence they need, both defensively and in attack, because we all know the qualities that Kudus and Partey possesses.
Now let's take a listen to Mikel Arteta speaking on why Partey is yet to feature for the Gunners despite making a return from injury. Kudus and Partey has made a return but yet to feature for the Gunners. The other Ghanaian player who's making a return from injury is Mohammed, who got injured on his Champions League debut against Liverpool, and that was crushing considering a young player who had always dreamt of playing the Champions League. Minutes into that game, he gets injured.
Country was mourning for Mohammed Kudus when that happened because a lot of Ghanaians were hoping to watch out for Kudus in the Champions League against Liverpool. We all know after Hakim Ziyech left Van de Beek, Kudus was the next poster boy for Ajax, only for that to happen. But it's good news he's returned back from injury, and it's also good news for the Black Stars as well.
We'll be getting to the Black Stars, but he played 10 minutes for Ajax against PSV Eindhoven over the weekend. What did you make of his performance in that game, in the short minutes that he had?
Well, he did okay for a player just returning from injury, even though we know that Kudus possesses more talent than what we saw yesterday. He's just warming up his way to full fitness. So yesterday was just to get him some minutes in the legs. So I think that was just what yesterday was all about. But the Kudus we know is yet to be seen, and I think in about 2 or 3 weeks' time, Kudus will be back.
Is it a case of us looking at a player who is going to be walking straight back into that Ajax midfield, or he's going to have some competition in there to deal with in order for him to nail a place?
I think once he's fit and starts firing, I think he's going to walk back straight into the Ajax starting 11 because he possesses a lot of talent. He has this kind of quality, and he's also versatile. He can play as to the number 10, play as the number 8, the number 6, play on the wing. He's that kind of player every coach would like to have in his team. And for a player to be bought for that amount from Nordjylland to Ajax, I think he's not going to sit on the bench because he's a top player. And mind you, with the way Ajax are hyping him and the marketing behind him, it won't be good for him to sit on the bench. They will surely start him for buys like Madrid, Barca, Chelsea FC, and the likes, this kind of big clubs to have eyes on him. Yeah.
We've got bigger things and bigger dreams for Mohammed Kudus, but you mentioned the Black Stars, and in the 2 players we've been talking about, you're probably looking at a central midfield partnership for the Black Stars of Ghana. Let's go back to Partey and what influence, or what boost his return hands the Black Stars of Ghana. They've got games coming up in the next few months for the AFCON qualifiers and the World Cup qualifiers as well. What sort of boost are we looking at for Siki Akono and his challenge?
Well, it's a huge boost for the Black Stars. We all remember Mohammed Kudus' last feature for the Black Stars was against South Africa in November 2019. where he got his debut goal. He performed really well. And we all know the quality Thomas Partey possesses anytime he walks into the Black Star team, what he does and what he offers to the team. So having Thomas Partey back to the team and also Mohammed Kudus, I think is going to give the Black Stars that kind of quality in attack and creativity that we've been lacking. Against Sudan like this, we lacked creativity and presence in midfield. And that was why we got beat by Sudan when we went away. So they coming back to the Black Stars is really going to help us in our qualification against South Africa and Sao Tome.
And there were issues with Mohammed Kudus as far as the Black Stars is concerned for their last game. He was not allowed to travel by Ajax. We understand that the player was injured. Well, days after the Black Stars had played, we saw Mohammed Kudus training and indeed playing for Ajax. COVID continues to linger. He's just returned from injury. Are we looking at a likely scenario where Ajax are going to take a look at his recuperation, coupled with COVID, and deny him access or a return to the Black Stars as well? Is this something that we should brace ourselves for?
Well, I don't think that's going to happen again because he's returned back from injury. Mind you, he could have featured 3 games back, but Ajax decided to wait a little bit and bring him out yesterday, which is January. So he's had enough time to recover. And March, that's 3 months away from now, is far away, and it will be long enough to get him fully fit. So I don't think there will be any excuse for Ajax not to release him to the Black Stars.
Well, that's interesting, which also brings us to Thomas Partey on the same situation, also returning from injury. The COVID numbers in England, staggering. You get a sense there that maybe Arsenal could also find a reason not to release the player for the national team.
Well, that could possibly happen, but I think the GFA or the FA are going to do, they must find ways and means to lure Arsenal to release Thomas Partey, because we can't let our best players, we can't keep them in their clubs whilst we suffer here in our country, because mind you, we need that qualification. If we fail to get results against Sao Tome and South Africa, we are doomed. Ghanaians are not going to leave these players alone, because it's country first before anything. And
finally, on these 2 players, we see players begin brightly with their new teams, get injured, and they are never the same again. Are we looking at 2 players who can simply overcome this setback, if you like, with respect to their injury and get back to the form that they were in before they got injured? Or we should be open to the possibility that these are players who could struggle mentally because of the injury and not perform at the levels that we saw them perform?
Well, with a player like Thomas Partey, I think he's well experienced enough. He's a player in his prime. And playing for Arsenal, there isn't much expectation for Arsenal at the moment. So I think there's no pressure on him to, kind of, we know Thomas Partey, he's that kind of calm guy. He brings that coolness and calmness in his game. So I think it's not going to have an impact on a player like Kudus.
Kudus is young.
Yeah, Kudus is quite young, and he's at the right club and with the right coach. They will nurture him. He's going to have more time to learn and more time to regain back his feet. And mind you, Ajax produces one of the, they produce talent. They nurture them. So there isn't going to be much pressure. Come on, Kudus. There's not going to be pressure on him to perform or deliver, because the system is already there. So he's just going to fit in, and that's all what matters. It's not like he's playing in the English Premiership or like the likes of Real Madrid or Chelsea, Manchester, whereby there will be a lot of pressure on him to deliver. But he's in Ajax and in the Netherlands League. There isn't much pressure there. There will be more time for him to gain back his fitness and his confidence.
Thomas Partey returns for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta said he wasn't ready in the last game. Hopefully, in subsequent games, we will be seeing him. Same for Mohammed Kudus. Saw 10 minutes of the action as Ajax drew 2-2 against PSV Eindhoven in the Dutch Eredivisie. So we should be seeing those 2 players fully back in action for their respective clubs, and also for the senior national team when they convene for their respective national assignments. But it's still 2-0 in favour of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. They lead Liberty Professionals by 2-0 at the Accra Sports Stadium. Fabio Gama is the talk of town, provided 2 assists. You should see the second one. We'll definitely show you the highlight later on at 10:30 p.m. right here. What do you call him? That's an interesting one. But I'll bring you the highlight later on Fun Zone at 10:30 p.m. Do join me. My name is Hans Mensando. Thank you very much, Benaya. That's it for sports.